So let's tie this into gold now. We're obviously a website that's focused on the precious metals. What are your thoughts on gold? I know you've written a paper in the past that's looked at company valuations with a focus on commodities. How do you see gold set up?
I'll start off with a statement. I don't think you can invest in gold, you can trade gold. And the reason I make that point is gold is impossible to value. The analogy I would give is a couple of days ago in New York, there was this painting that sold, which is this 3 things of Lucian Freud for $142 million. If you ask me to value that painting, I have no idea what the value of that painting is. It's set by demand and supply. So with gold, there is no underlying fundamental you can point to that can say this is what's going to drive the value of gold. That actually makes gold different from other commodities, where there's a real demand. You can tie it to economic growth. Gold for centuries has been what you go to if you don't trust currencies. You don't trust central banks. You don't trust that paper money that you're given. So here's the flip side of central bankers becoming prideful and using their power, is at some point in time, if you stop trusting currency, if you stop trusting paper money, people are going to turn to gold. So I think that's the flip side of all the central banking power that we're seeing around the world, is if it starts to fail, then gold's going to be the recipient of that lack of trust people have in central bankers. So my long-term view on gold is I wouldn't invest in gold, but I might trade gold. And I would trade gold because I don't trust bankers, I don't trust currency, and that's where I'm going to go if I don't trust currency.
So does that mean you wouldn't buy physical gold and hold long-term?
I would never buy gold and hold. I mean, as I said, I am a value investor. I invest in assets where I think the cash flows on the assets and sustain what I pay. So I'll buy Coca-Cola, I might even buy Twitter. But gold to me cannot be sustained based on value. It's a tradable asset. I'm not a trader. I've learned over time that you've got to play the game that you came to play. I came to play the value game. I've never been a good trader. And to be a good investor in gold, to make money on gold, you've got to be a trader. And that's not my strength.